It's me, Colwood, here with a review of Skylanders Swap Force. This review is long overdue. I finished this Let's Play a while ago, but I haven't gotten around to it, and, I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, it's too much effort, but then I remembered it sitting here, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna do it now, so that I don't forget to do it later. Skylanders Swap Force, the third game in the Skylanders franchise. The new gimmick is swappable figures, where there's a top and a bottom, and you can swap their tops and bottoms to change up their powers and stuff. It's a better gimmick than the Giants gimmick of Skylanders Giants. In fact, the whole game is better than Skylanders Giants by far. Skylanders Giants is probably the worst game in the franchise. Skylanders Swap Force would actually be the best, except for that it's just about as long as Skylanders Giants. It has the same problem as Skylanders Giants, which I touched upon in my Skylanders Giants review. Go watch that, because I might make some comparisons here. It's too short. They're both too short. Skylanders Giants, Skylanders Swap Force, too short. The first game was 24 levels, I think, is what it was, 24, 23, I don't know. The other two are like 16, 17 levels. Drastic change. Well, not that drastic, but it's enough to make it feel like the game is too short. My theory is that because, the game's kind of marketed towards young kids. My theory is that a lot of young kids weren't able to finish the first game or something, so they've been making them shorter now, which I guess is good for them, for the demographic, but, I guess there's not that much to complain about, but it's still a shame that they're not shorter. The Skylanders Swap Force does, I think, have longer levels, though. It's just, I like to play one level in one sitting, so it feels like I can beat it in really fast in many settings. It also has checkpoints mid-level, so like when you leave the game, you don't have to start from the beginning of the level again, which is how the other two games were. I think because the levels are longer. So technically, I guess, if you add up the time, it's probably takes about as long as, 18, 19, maybe even 20 levels of the original game. But it's still annoying that it still feels short. But I do like it a lot, honestly. Each level kind of has its own unique hook. Like that one level will have a little fishing mini game that's part of it, which I'll admit they weren't that good. And then another level will have cannons, and then another level will have this, and another level will have that. It's kind of gimmicky, but each level feels much more unique than in the past couple games, where levels kind of blended together. The original one, particularly, there were a lot of levels, but a lot of them blended together because you were traversing, similar areas. There'd be sections where you were traversing similar areas, kind of like worlds, like in a Mario game or something, without there actually being worlds. But in this game, every level distinctly feels like its own original, unique thing, with cool little gimmicks and stuff. And the new the Swap Force gates, where they'll have these little mini games for Swap Force dudes, are pretty cool. The stealth ones are cool, particularly, but also kind of tedious at the same time. They're hard. These stealth gates are pretty hard. This game actually, the game never gets that hard. It's the game itself doesn't get that hard, but the little, if you want to get all the collectibles and go on all the little side missions, it can get pretty difficult at times. It's never too bad, and if you have enough Skylanders, it should be fine. But I'd say if you played it on hard mode and you only had 3 or 4 Skylanders, that would be a serious challenge. I played it on hard mode, and I was running out of most of my Skylanders by the end of some of the levels. Granted, my little brother was playing with me, and he loses that kind of doubles the life lossage, because he's not very good at the game, and neither am I, to be honest. But I still think that if you only had 3 or 4 Skylanders and you were playing on hard mode, it'd be a legitimately hard it'd be a legitimately hard game. The weird thing about Skylanders is that because you buy the toys, it's once you have a certain amount of toys, it just becomes easy no matter what. We have 20-something Skylanders, and that takes away all the difficulty. I remember the original game actually giving me a lot of trouble because I only had 3, 4 Skylanders, and most of the extra Skylanders that I got them after I'd finished the game, so I was just going back and playing old levels with them. I played that first game a ton. I could review that, but I don't know. It's just what's the point, right? I've already made enough comparisons to it in these two reviews. So yeah, I also like the new cutscenes. Like there are a lot more fully animated cutscenes now. Like there were a couple in the other two games, like at the end of the game and the beginning of the game. But this one, they're like every level ends and begins with one. The one thing that's annoying is when you start up the game, when you boot up the game to go to the next level, it shows the end cutscene from the last level, which is annoying because you've already seen it. You have to have already seen it unless you skipped it the first time. I usually just skip it again when it shows up. But then there's this stupid dude that'll talk after the cutscene in like a non-cutscene form, and it's impossible to speed up the text, which is annoying. Yeah, and the humor's still there. In fact, I think the humor's there more prominently with the cutscenes. There are a lot of kooky characters like I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there's this one dude who talks like this, and he's only evil, and he talks like this, and you meet him in one of the levels. I'm not gonna spoil which one, but he's a funny character, and Flynn is still there. If you've played the other two games, he's played by Patrick Warburton, who I find he's funny in my opinion. He does a lot of voice work, but yeah, I'd say the game is probably a 6.5 out of 10 stars. Well, I don't know what ranking is. I kind of rank things differently than a lot of rankers. So if you're like, oh, that's too low, shut up. Just shut up, please. It would be higher if it was longer. I came out of it being like, that's it, I want more. But yeah, what can you do, right? Hopefully the next game will return to the original game's format of a longer format. Definitely better than Giants, though. I've noticed that you can't find the Giants in stores anymore, which kind of sucks, but whatever. Arrivederci. Now I'm rambling, so. Arrivederci, as I was about to say. Awkward reviews for the win. I should just call these awkward reviews. Awkward review number 5. Skylanders Swap Force. Anyway, arrivederci.